Okay, my name is Hazel. The surname is Kocini. I'm a mother of 2 daughters. I work in Project Playground as an outreach coordinator, where my work entails doing counseling with the children, one-on-one with the children. If possible, I also do home visits to see the situation of where the child comes from, and sometimes have to visit schools and also do referrals with other organizations depending on the program of the child. Most of our kids come from very disadvantaged families. Some of them come from families where there's single parents, unemployed, there are no fathers in their lives. Some of the kids come from families where there's too much domestic violence, where the father and the mother both drink. Over weekends, there is no food for the children, unemployment, children don't know where to go, there's no support, nothing for the kids. Some of them are even prone to rape, where they're being raped maybe by neighbors who are not working, who see the kids roaming around. Some of the kids from those different home environments, they end up resorting to drugs, resorting to teenage pregnancies, dropping out of schools. There's a lot that happens to kids because of their home backgrounds. But after Project Playground came to the townships, things have changed quite big time, because what normally happens, these parents that always drink don't have work. Some of them who work, they come very late from work, maybe after 6 or 7, and in the meantime, while the parents are not there at home, the kids roam around, they come home, there's nobody at home, then it's where now they are prone to rape from neighbors who are unemployed. So Project Playground has come to the townships to help the kids. When they get home from school, when there is nobody at home, they come straight to PPG, where they have a chance to dance, showing their skills like dancing. Some are playing soccer, some are in art, some are in drama, some are in music, all the different classes according to the children's skills or what they love in sport. And then every day before they leave PPG, we give them a plate of supper, because when they get back home, some of them there's nothing to eat. So that this plate of food helps them at least to get to the next day. And then one time when we were sometimes teaching for the kids, there was a 6-year-old boy who every time he eats the food, he would leave half of the plate. And we were thinking, why is this boy leaving half of the plate? Is it because it's too much, we dish too much for the boy, or what? So we went to encounter, we spoke with the child, and only to find out the half that he leaves behind is for a little boy who's only 3 years old to have something to eat at home, which was a very sad story to us, you understand? So what is normally happening in our townships, our kids have got we lack educational resources like parks where children go and play and do whatever. There's nothing they can do except falling into peer pressure, where they would be asked by other kids to smoke or to go out with men. And in most cases where there are no fathers at home, young girls, they normally look for older men as boyfriends, because they're looking for a father figure, somebody as a man to love them. They're looking for money, they're looking for somebody to buy them food or clothes, which is not a good thing, but because of the situation at home, it makes them go and do things that they didn't want to do. That's the kind of children we deal with on a daily basis at Project Playground.
Yeah. What would you say is the most difficult case you had?
The most difficult case I had, there's a family, I'm not going to mention the name, there's a family where it's overcrowded. It's overcrowded, the mothers stay there, the children stay there, the grandchildren stay there. It's so overcrowded, it leads to family conflict. Because the mother, there's different mothers, there's different children, like cousins or sisters. They extended the house with shacks. So some of the families, they live in shacks in the same yard. And in that house, there's a high rate of unemployment, high rate of drug using, high rate of alcohol abuse. Most of them are single parents. So what happens now, on weekends, there's always fight in that house, because they're all using drugs, mothers and fathers, they all use alcohol. And most of them got children. There's also high rate of teenage pregnancy. So what normally happens, so when I got to the house, I saw there's a huge problem. And when I went to the house, I saw the kids coming to the PPG every day, dirty, not attending school, always hungry. So what we normally did with the smaller ones, we normally had to keep asking people for clothes. We used to keep them here. When they come, the first thing we did was to wash them. Make sure that they wear clean clothes, because when they go to the classes, some kids always tease them, making fun of them because they were dirty, stinking and hungry. So we used to wash them, clothe them and also give them food. So later on, as my work makes me go do home visit, I want to do a home visit, I find this terrible situation when a normal person cannot bear. To start with, they didn't have sanitation, there was no water. It was taken by the council because the street committee complained that the family is using drugs, is using alcohol, it's just damaging the whole street. And small kids have to grow from that. Even when they have to go to the loo for toilets, they were using Checkers plastic bags because there was no toilet. So everywhere you go, you'd find pieces of messes from the kids. So I had to deal with the family shack by shack, like room by room, because there was a lot of them. So the first one that I encountered was the children from below 8. Then she was 6 years old. Their mother was a drug addict, selling drugs. She was an ex-jail convict because of drugs. She's also a lesbian, not working. Nobody cares about the kids. They were abused. If they wanted food from their families here, they had to do chores like cleaning the toilets and going and fetch water from far away in order for them to get food from the part of the family, 6-year-old. And the other child is also HIV positive from this child because the mother is also HIV positive. So what I did, working with social development, we tried, it took us 2 to 3 years to get the kids being removed from situation, because South African government, all the places that keep children who are in this position are always full. You have to wait for 6 months to a year to get a place for children. And it was very urgent that these kids be removed in that situation. So it took me 2 years to 3 years to work with social development to get the children being removed from the place. And then their grandmother was staying far away from Langa, and there was no communication between their grandmother and their mother. So I had to also to work with trying to get a communication good between the mother of these children and their grandmother. So because the first thing we look at if we remove kids is to look for the immediate families because it's not nice moving a child from a family that is being used to, even if they are poor, but they are used to this family. The bond is there. So we first look for an immediate family, and then the immediate family we got was the grandmother, who was staying far from Langa. And she was also against taking the kids because their mother was a very rude person who would come anytime and swear at them. But we tried our best working with social development to first build good communication between the grandmother of the children and their mother. And then we managed that. After we managed it, we tried to get the kids out of that place to stay with the grandmother, who's staying a little bit far from Langa. So everything had to be done via us and social development. We removed the kids there. We managed to remove the kids there. We managed to get them into school. Today, if you look at them, wow, they look like, I'm telling you, they're in school now, staying in a better life, and also the children grant that the mother was getting and using for drugs, it's gone to the grandmother now. Also, with the help of PPG, we normally had food like porridge and all the stuff where we used to give to the kids. And also PPG is assisting because the grandmother is staying far from Langa, assisting the kids to still attend a PPG. We're paying transport for them to be taken from where they go to school to PPG, and from PPG back to where the grandmother stays. So if you could see them now, wow.
It's beautiful.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
So that's the one part of the story that we managed to get it at least through now.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to say I failed the other one, but because of the situation, we tried and tried, but we couldn't manage to get the boy to be where we wanted him to be. Because these boys, they are 7 from their mother. 7 kids from a single parent, and all of the 7 have different fathers. So their mother died of HIV and AIDS. And then when the mother died, one of the boys, the older boys from children, because he was trying to make a living for the other children, he resorted to housebreaking and robbing all the stuff, and then he was jailed. He's still in jail up until now. The other sister, you went for, when you sell your body, your child trafficking, went for child trafficking, also trying to maintain the kids, but he was then later adopted by a white person from the suburb areas. So the others who stay now behind, they're staying with the aunts who are also not working. So the boys were at school and they dropped at school. We managed to get them back to school, but because the situation was too heavy at home, it needed more support or assistance than coming here and just getting food and going back. Because when they get back, there is nothing. You understand? So he dropped out of 2 schools that I tried to get him into, up until he went back to using drugs and all the stuff. He's a very, very good boy. But because of the situation and people are there at home who are the sisters of the mother who passed away are saying they cannot afford them. So in those situations, they can come to PPG, they can get a plate of food, but what happens next? Because they only come here on Mondays, Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. What happens on a Wednesday? What happens the whole weekend? There's no food, there's nothing. You understand? So there are cases that we manage to get through. There are cases that we cannot manage because we cannot do all what the holistic life that a child needs.
Yeah. What would you say? Would you say that rape and other sexual abuse is very common in townships?
It's one of the huge crimes in South Africa, especially to children. Because what normally happens, in South Africa, some men who are HIV positive believe that if you sleep with a virgin, you will be cured. Which is, you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. And there are many reasons why people rape. Some are raping because they are unemployed and they believe that if you do sex, you won't feel hunger. You understand? So when you do sex, then you won't feel hunger. They do it out of bored, they're being bored. Some is because of the influence of drug abuse. Some is because they believe that if you sleep with a virgin when you're HIV positive, then you'll be cured. Some are ex-convict. Because our ex-convicts, they always have a tendency that if they come out of prison, when they get to their families, they are being named, being reminded of who they were before they went to jail. And now they, even with food, because in jail they get breakfast, they get lunch, they get supper. Here outside there's nothing for them to eat. So they would do a crime for them to go back rather than being outside.
Oh, really? So
there are many reasons that would make, but rape is one of the highest crimes you can get, especially to children.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It is. And I'm sure I'm sweating there.
Well, thank you for doing a beautiful work.
I am.
Yeah.
I think I am.
Yeah.
So our kids, Sarah, you would see them. I always say to them when I'm watching them playing and doing things on the turf, and I see, because I'm working, I know their problems. Wow, these kids are carrying heavy loads on their shoulders, heavy burdens that they are not supposed to be carrying as children. But thanks to PPG, because for those 3 hours, they forget about everything what's happening at home and play and enjoy and only think about when they get back home.
Yeah. And they get food. Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Maite.
Thank you. Perfect.
And Gabriela, I've got questions for you after what you said to us.
Yeah.
Because as